Well, again, folks, if you've been living under a rock for the last couple of weeks, you'll notice the Premier League has just stopped. There's no reason for that. They just decided not to. So we're taking the initiative and talking about Europe this week, while we also have the Interlull on. So Neil, it's been an interesting start to the Champions League. I think it's fair to say for a lot of groups and a lot of clubs, a lot of big clubs have had some, particularly English clubs, have had a bit of a falter at the start of their campaigns.
It has been. Well, most of the English clubs have had a bit of a falter. Um, yeah, this the latest. What it's been 2 rounds of the Premier League,
At time of recording, we are
Champions League,
2 rounds
fucking
in. Yeah.
two rounds of the Champions League.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been some fucking results. There's been some
Yeah.
upsets. Like good thing I'm not a betting man because I'd have lost my fucking shirt.
Mm. So, I think the first one we have to talk about is the Napoli Liverpool game. That was the first real shock of the match day. And look, I remember the last time we went to the Olimpico, and I went to Napoli, and like we got our fucking arses handed to us. We actually did lose that game last time, and it's kind of happened again, but in more dramatic fashion. And again, this is it's a fallow season for Liverpool when we lose heavy like this, and then suddenly we get our shit together in the next game, and it's kind of again, it's a contributing factor is the injury crisis, but it's also the fact that just the intensity was not there in the night. And like when a Liverpool team loses intensity, it loses a lot of itself as well. But my God, like it's the if you compare the team that played against Napoli to the team that played against Ajax, they're two completely different teams. And the real difference is actually just like replacing three or four very key positions. Like it's no coincidence that we rock up to Napoli with a midfield of Fabinho, Milner, and Elliott, and we get tonked 4-1. Nor is it a coincidence that we rock up with a centre back partnership of Van Dijk
By
and
the way,
Gomez.
sorry, I should really kind of interject there. Very lucky to only lose 4-1.
Oh yes, oh
I
yes.
mean,
They Napoli ghosted the second half.
Osman missed the penalty, hit the
Yeah,
post. Um,
oh,
the
not injured.
player that they're calling Cavaradonna,
Yes.
Kavija Kavashilia. Fuck man, I can't pronounce names to say.
No, you're right. Kvaratskhelia, yeah,
Yeah, Cavaradonna, he had a shot off the line, cleared off
yeah,
the line. Like, fuck me. Like, that match ended like 6 or 7-1. You'd have been like, yeah, yeah, no, no, that's a fair enough
yeah.
result.
Well,
Like,
and it
it's
was a fair result.
crazy,
That's the
crazy.
scary part. Yeah.
So here's a question for you, right? I'm
Yes.
kind of quoting a wee bit of Goldbridge here. Is
Okay.
this the tonking that Liverpool kind of needed? Is this
Oh
actually a good
God.
thing?
Yes. I tell you why, because I think it this is similar to the 7-2 against Villa a couple of seasons ago,
Yeah.
right? When we had that match against Villa, we came in kind of with the arrogance or the presumption that Villa were going to play defensive against us when they actually got at us and got the scruff of our necks. This is something that clubs will do against top teams because they need to. They need to outwork top teams. You look at, do you know what? A great example for this season was Leeds against Chelsea because Leeds literally outran Chelsea 10 kilometers and they won the game 3-0. That is not a coincidence. In the same way where Newcastle outrun Man City for the second half and they got a point out of it. They should have won the game, to be honest.
Yeah,
But
they really
Haaland,
did.
Man
Yeah.
City, G codes, fucking Konami code, they won the game. Doesn't matter. But for Liverpool, like you needed to, I think you needed a kick in their complacency, and that's where a lot of it comes from this season is complacency. Yes, we have come off from one of the longest seasons
I was
any
about to
football.
say that. Are you sure it's complacency and not fatigue?
Oh, it's 100. It's both. It's both because the complacency was already there at the start of the season, but the complacency is because of the long season. It's trying to pace themselves. It's trying to manage their own levels and trying to play in a different way. So there's two or three issues really happening with the team. The first one is the fatigue. That's the big one. The second was, of course, the injury crisis because let's be fair, James Miller probably didn't bank on him playing so much games at the start of the season. He was a squad player. He's there to train. He's there to wrangle the young lads and get them primed for the first team. That's his role in the team. And then when you have so many players dropping like flies and players now that you actively can't trust anymore to play in the team, I'm talking about Keita, I'm talking about Ox. Like you can't trust them now to play in the team. And as much as I've loved both of them as players, you can't trust them. You can't then they're not then they can't keep their fitness. And unfortunately, Klopp has made that mistake in trusting them. And of course, Arthur is not necessarily ready for the first team yet either. He's coming off an injury back he had in Juve. So the midfield coming in is cobbled together. Like it couldn't be more cobbled together. Fucking Jay Spearing was there in the midfield, right? So you got the defense then of Trent and Gomez, who should never play ever again in the same partnership because Gomez and because Matip is very good at covering and Trent is very good at not covering. He doesn't like defending, right? A lot of people have been kind of saying he's been kind of complacent with his backtracking and so forth, but that's a tactical decision. He's told to stay a little bit forward to essentially hit a counter attack. Don't get me wrong. I think I've never seen him play as badly against Norwich or Norwich again. Jesus, Napoli.
You got
Um,
knowledge on the brain, man.
I really do. It's weird. Do you know what? It's because I keep seeing NOR on the fucking
Yeah,
screen here.
that's like the third or
Yeah,
fourth time you've made that. He's just said
fucking.
Norwich. Fuck it.
It's a Norwichian slip. Like it's weird. Anglian slip. There we go. But but the thing about that is that you can't go rock up to a stadium like Naples and expect to coast through a game. You're in for a fight. You have to get yourself mentally prepared for that. You have to put the fucking yards in. You have to put the shift in. They did not,
The
and they got
Stadio
punished.
Diego Armando Maradona.
Like, come on, like it's you've had this match before. You've played Napoli like this. This is the season where we got the Champions League final, where we got our fucking arses handed to us by Napoli, and we had to fight for it. Like this is not a coincidence. This happens all the time. So you should come in expecting an ass kicking and trying to get out of it, especially with such a depleted squad. Now it also doesn't help as well that we're trying to retool our attack to accommodate Nunez and to accommodate Diaz. And the biggest loser out of all that is in Salah because he's now playing so far out wide. He has to do a lot more run to get in, and he's not getting as many chances to score. So I'll talk about the Ajax game now after that. But there's been some pretty important changes in that now that's making everything feel a little bit better. And a lot of it has to do with the players coming back from injury. So ironic enough, again, the Queen died. I don't know if anyone noticed. Um, and they're hilarious enough. Again, the joke, the fucking stupid fucking classist banter has been about like Liverpool and Celtic and all this sort of stuff. But there's stuff the team that has benefited the most out of this has been Liverpool because a lot of our players have come back from injury and we haven't had to play Wolves or Chelsea in the meantime. So we've been able to just go from Napoli, like 5 days of fucking set like penance in Jurgen Klopp's oubliette, and bam, we're way to fucking Ajax, And the scoreline is 2-1. That was not how the game played out. We played, I think we Ajax had 2 shots on goal. Kudus scored an absolute fucking brilliant equalizer, and I cannot take that away from him. It was fucking brilliant the way he played it. But again, there's some massive differences in how dominant that performance was. One, Matip in the defense. Two, Thiago midfield. Three, Jota in the front line. And that's literally been the difference. It's been just getting the better players back onto the field, healthy, fully fit, and we're not managing energy levels anymore. It's just a little bit of normality. And a bit of change of formation as well. We're starting to come towards a front four system where we play 2 players holding midfield and then play a front four, which would typically be Nunez at the spear tip, Jota, Diaz, and Salah just floating around and basically take your pick. But we wouldn't start that way. We'd start with a 3, and then when shit hits the fan, we go to the 4, and that's kind of our preferred formation, or at least Linder's preferred formation. So the Ajax game was made me feel a bit more assured that we actually will be okay this season. But the trouble with that is the fixture congestion and the way we're going to go. We have to keep these players fit. Like people like Matip and Thiago have to be in bubble wrap for the entire season. You can't stretch them around. So the difference of that is now when in the games that Thiago isn't playing, who is? And that's where the likes of Arthur has to come good because I think Arthur is our backup to Thiago in the end. We should have had a more natural backup to Thiago, 100%, but we didn't get them.
Well,
And that's
you got some recent good news in that Thiago has not been called up for his national squad.
which I'm very fucking happy with because look, come on, he's going to be in the team anyway. Like, there's no point having him in the fucking Nations League. Fucking hell. So, that's good news for us, and we do need to just get those players back in. I think once we get those supplements in, this team is going to look a lot better. It does make the league the group table a lot more interesting though, because again, Napoli is now top. They tongued the Rangers. I think they're a better outfit than they come across. Because again, there's been the Serie A league has set itself on fire recently. It's super competitive to the point where even Juventus are looking like an outside chance rather than a odds-on favorite. The two Milan teams are playing well. Napoli's playing well. Roma's up there too, and I think it's just making them more and more competitive and more aggressive. Um, and I don't think it's also a coincidence where the English teams have kind of struggled in Europe a little bit. Like we were talking about Liverpool there. Um, Chelsea are bottom of their group.
Oh yeah,
Let's not forget. You know,
it's not been good at all. Hang on for a second. I will pull all of this up.
hmm,
Yeah, it's been terrible for the English teams, bar one of
hmm.
them, of
We
course.
don't count Man City. We're not talking about Man City this season.
Right, so in Group A, yeah, you've got Liverpool 1-1, lost one,
Hmm.
sitting on a goal difference of -2 and 3 points. Um, simply just hang on, why are they? Why are you not ahead of Ajax? Oh well, fuck it.
Goal difference. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
competitive. They don't go by goal difference. They go by competitive.
Ah, right. And so, Group D, Spurs again, 1-1, lost one. They
That game against Sporting was mad. Was weird. I know we joke about Antonio Conte's aversion to the Champions League, but
He's really bad.
lads,
He's really bad in the Champions League. I didn't
yeah,
watch this game for one obvious reason, and the other obvious reason that is that I was on a bus to a gig at the time, and I was kind of watching a live blog of it, and I got to about 88 minutes, and literally the live blog, your man was just going off on random tangents because there was nothing fucking happening in the game,
yeah.
and Sporting nailed them with two fucking goals in like 5 minutes and the 90th fucking minute, or they scored in the 89th and 93rd or
Yeah.
something like that. It was crazy.
My favorite thing about that match was that one player caught the Spurs fans' attention, going like, oh, this young kid is English. What's his name? Marcus Edwards. Oh, well, we should really sign him up. Yeah, you sold him to Sporting for fucking pittance. Fucking hell.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hilarious. Group E, if Chelsea rock bottom, -1, they've drawn one, lost one. Yeah,
They
I'm
have to
like,
be worried about that, really, because again, the next two games are Milan, and they're like currently top of the group, but like they're top seeds as well.
yeah, no,
And it's
Milan are firing. Like Milan are playing good. Like they're really going well. So yeah, I've just it's a crazy one for everybody bar those people.
we don't talk
Um,
about them. We're not talking about Manchester City.
I'm not talking about them and the cheat code that they've got up front.
It's not
Um,
fair. It's
I would
fundamentally
like
wrong.
the Dortmund game was hilarious. Like what a winning goal! Like it was hilarious. There was an online debate that a couple of people are having, like which was better, Haaland's finish or Cancelo's cross? Because
Oh, Cancelo's cross.
Cancelo's
Jesus
cross was
Christ.
unbelievable. But like, don't get me wrong, like yeah, it is unbelievable. But Haaland's finish is like something out of the fucking Matrix, man. Like,
I was only saying this to Kira today, right? Because like this is why it's so unfair for everyone else, right? Because like no, first of all, you got João Cancelo who just goes, Joe, I don't even have a position. I just cross the ball, and whoever happens to be there will score, right? So that's first of all unfair, right? On a
that's how
fundamental,
well I cross the ball. When I
yeah,
cross the ball, it goes into the net,
it goes
usually.
never usually, yeah. But then you have this fucking cyborg, this fucking Terminator T-1000 rock up, and all he has to do is just float in the air a little bit. His foot like is on the perfect position, and his ball will go there. If there was any other player, if he was playing for any other club, like he'd just land on its arse, and the ball would go and hit some fucking toddler. Like it would not
Yeah,
have happened.
it would have skied like Rose Edge shit, or
Yeah.
brain somebody
He's
just
signed for
behind it.
Liverpool, if he's signed for Arsenal, he's signed for Spurs, he'd make a tit of himself. But no, because it's the fucking majesty of Manchester City and their fucking their oil money, they're able to just fucking magic it into existence, and it really fucking annoys me.
Yeah, he is just an incredible fucking player.
Brilliant, and
I was
I
laughing at
hate it for that.
the particular channel I was watching it on. They had the
Yes.
Man City walking into the players coming off the bus, and it was unfortunate because for me, because the commentary was led by Keys and Gray,
I'm sorry to
But
hear
the
that.
two of them just constantly just went on about the size of Haaland. They were just
Mm.
like the absolute size of him. Like, how do you who else did they have? They had two other players. I think they had Clivert with them. No, it wasn't Clivert. Not Clivert. Who's the other guy who is on B in sports? Fuck. I'll figure it out. Any
Yeah.
case, but they were turning around and going, "How on earth do you mark somebody like that?" Like,
Mm.
they just constantly went on about the size of the guy, and I was like, "Oh, is he really that big?" And then you look at him on the pitch, and you're just like, he does look like like an overscaled sprite on a FIFA game. Like,
Yeah. He's like that creative player you had. It's like, I'm gonna make him 6'10". He's gonna have perfect finishing and perfect speed.
yeah, I'm gonna give him 99 pace.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see his fucking FIFA card.
Uh,
So yeah, no, fucking hell. Like they're paying him probably 2 million quid a month, and he's actually kind of he's living up to it. Like he
he's
is.
actually worth that money. Yeah, you
He's
get a good
actually
value.
worried. Like that's the crazy thing about it. Like
but but yeah, like I think with like Spurs are like I think we said this at the time, Neil, about the Spurs thing. Going back to that, like they could easily make hard work of that Group D. Like again, now Marseille are not are a very strange club at the best of times, but like Spurs losing to Sporting, I think is a bit of a concern. Because they didn't see that game out, and realistically, they didn't do that great against Frankfurt, who have lost a lot of players this season. They did win the game 2-0 in the end, thanks to Richarlison. But like
no, no,
by and
no.
large,
Spurs beat Marseille 2-0.
I was Marseille. You're right. Sorry, I
Yes.
apologize. Okay, well, that proves my point. It's even the same thing to rely on Richarlison late finishes. Um, and now again, Frankfurt, like okay, in theory, you should be able to beat that team home and away. But again, it's you don't want to make hard work of this team because do you really want to go into the next round second from that group? Because like the big boys are going to come knocking. You don't want to you want to be top seed of that team, the group ID, like realistically.
Like Group D, who
Um,
did they get if they get second? Did they get the winner of Group C? Is that how it
no,
works?
it works where in the round of 16, if the teams that finish first will play the teams that finish second.
Yeah. Oh, it's a
So
pot thing
realistically,
again, is it?
yeah. So say if
Yeah,
Spurs
yeah,
finish
yeah.
second in that group, they'd have to face like potentially Napoli, potentially Leverkusen, Munich, Milan, let's say Real Madrid, Man or
They
PSG
still
potentially.
can't face teams from their own country at the round 16.
That's exactly it. Yeah, yeah. So even going through the rest of the groups again, we mentioned Chelsea as well. Like they do need to beat Milan back and forth because they're at the bottom of the group and it's not looking good for them at the minute. Um, I have to say Celtic are doing better than I expected. Like they got tanked by Real Madrid, which I was expecting, but they got a good result against Shakhtar. Which I think kind of shows how very the gung ho Celtic are. Like we don't talk about Scottish football that much, but if you were watching SPL, you'd probably look at like the Celtic team and go, Jesus Christ, these lads don't want to defend.
They are going for it. And
Stylistic choice, like.
much to their credit, Rangers are as well. Now, Rangers came off far worse in their two games, losing
Yes.
4-0 and 3-0 um, to Napoli and fucking
And
Liverpool.
Ajax. They lost 4-0 to Ajax and they lost 3-0 to Napoli.
So yeah, they're just handing out goals. But yeah, Celtic, yeah, like they're going plucky underdogs. They're just going, nah, fuck it. They're literally screaming freedom on the halfway line and going for it. And
I
fair
admire
fucks to
it.
them.
You might as well.
No,
Yeah.
but that's the thing. Like, it's the only way. Like it's Champions League group. If you play timidly, you're not going to get anywhere. Now,
Yeah.
admittedly, they're probably not going to get out of the group. Real have 6. Shakhtar are already on 4. I don't see that changing that much.
No.
Um, could they go into the Europa League?
They could potentially. I
Yeah,
mean, Leipzig are in a bit of a free fall this season, so that'll be their nearest rival, and
yeah.
they face top
Leipzig aren't
4.
doing well. They're not doing well domestically either, are
They
they?
sacked their manager just this week, actually. Yeah,
Fuck. Oh
yeah.
yeah, they did. Shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um. So yeah, like fuck yeah, they might actually just drop into the Europa League as one of
Mm.
the supposed big boys dropping down.
Well, if you're talking about big boys dropping down, I want to direct your attention to the spicy group that we elected a couple of weeks ago, Neil. Group H. Have you noticed something there in that spicy group?
Oh yes, I have. I have noticed that Juve have fuck all points,
Yes, they've lost both of their games.
and also quite convincingly lost them.
Yes.
Like, it wasn't like these weren't like smash and grabs, which can happen to everybody. Let's face it.
Mhm.
But like, they weren't really in the game against Paris Saint-Germain. I know the scoreline of both games was 2-1. You're thinking, oh
Yeah.
well, Neil, what are you talking about? If they scored one goal, like Juve can definitely do that. I was like, no, no, no. You have to watch the games and think, nah, 2-1 was a very flattering scoreline to them.
Mhm.
Especially remarkably against Benfica. I mean,
Yeah.
Benfica really went for it, and fair play to them. So in Group H, funnily enough, our spicy group seems to be already done and dusted with both Paris Saint Germain and Benfica on 6 points each. I don't see
Well,
that.
put it this way: they face Maccabi Haifa away from home and home and away in the next few games. If they don't get 6 points from that, then they surely are out because Benfica
Oh,
and PSG could be dicks and just draw both games. Like,
very much so. Yeah, I don't see Benfica doing that now. I say Benfica will want that scalp. They'll want that
yeah,
highly moneyed scalp of
nothing
Saint Germain,
PSG.
particularly as most of their team will be like, well, if I play really well here, they might sign me for several billion a week. Yes.
Which they have done recently for Benfica. So yeah, that checks out.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, that's a really good. That's how our spicy group, I think, is living up to its what we crowned it. I think it's living up to the crown we gave it.
Yes, absolutely. And let's dip into the Europa League while we're here. So, no what to say about Arsenal. Like you guys beat made hard work of Zurich in the first game, and then obviously the game against PSV was postponed for a very particularly long moment of silence. But and whenever you do get that rescheduled, I can't. I think it's the 20th of October. I'm seeing here. It's been rescheduled for.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was rescheduled for the day after we would have faced City, which is why the City game has now been postponed.
Indeed, yeah. So, that makes that even more spicy. Actually, come to think of it. So, again, no real kind of, I suppose, surprises wise. If you want a fucking hell result, Neil, Feyenoord beating or Feyenoord beating
Well, actually, hang
Lazio.
on a minute. Let me go back to that. I don't think we made that hard work to fucking the Zurich game. I mean, 2-1 flattered them. I mean, like, I know that's been a refrain I've said the last three games. Like talking about both of Juve's, but like
Mm,
we were all over Zurich. Like, their one goal came from a pretty bullshitty penalty.
hmm.
Um, but yeah, like no, I was well happy with how that Zurich game. That was fantastic.
Yeah, okay.
Unbelievable goal from Marquinhos. I'm like, fucking, what a way to fucking, like, open your account with a long fucking raking ball into the opposite top bin. Yeah, get in there, motherfucker. I don't know. I was well happy with that. I mean, like, we were all over them. That was great. That was a really flattering scoreline. But yeah, our match against PSV was postponed until the 20th, which is next Tuesday, as of
Yeah,
recording. But yeah,
indeed. But But yeah, with that then, so we talk about actually, if you want a proper good result from the Europa League, I'll direct your attention to Group F, where FC Midtjylland beat Lazio 5-1.
fucking hell, man. I
Magnificent.
actually still cannot believe that. Like, that is crazy.
Yep, 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 exactly. Now Real Sociedad is currently top of Group B after they beat Manchester United 1-0 at Old Trafford. And Man United had to tactically deploy Cristiano Ronaldo to beat Sheriff Tiraspol, which I find hilarious. What was funny about it was that when Ronaldo came on to play to score his token penalty, the Tiraspol fans also did the celebration for Ronaldo because they're just big marks. And I just appreciate that. That to me is the magic of the Europa League, where you have someone of the caliber of Ronaldo playing in it, and even all the home fans go, "Come on, do the thing, do the thing, do the thing." Dance for us, monkey.
Yeah.
Fucking hilarious. But yeah, like surely United are not making hard work of this team. Like they'd have to be top of that group. Because like if Sociedad get through, like the way the Rugby League works now since the ECL has been founded is that whoever's top of the group will basically get a bye into the round of 16. But the ones that are finishing second have to go into the knockout playoffs and then play that way. And the knockout playoffs is also where the third place Champions League teams get thrown
Mm.
into the mix as well. So basically, there is an incentive for you to be top of the group. So you have to so basically you can skip all that bullshit. But if you're second, you again have to play with the big boys,
Yeah,
essentially.
if you're second, you go into the bullshit.
Yes. And United, realistically, we want to avoid the bullshit because, as you've seen from some of the groups, there could be teams like Ajax and Juventus, or people like that. Atletico
To be
Madrid
honest,
even knocking
I
them.
don't see them topping that group. I don't.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, if they're
They've
dropping
already
points,
lost. They already lost to Sociedad.
yeah.
Um, all right, then yeah, they won against Sheriff. They'll probably win against Nicosia,
Hmm.
but I don't see them winning the comeback game. The other game that'll probably end as a draw,
Yeah.
and Sociedad will beat Sheriff and Nicosia. That's them top of the group, man.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And there's no that is how fucking tight it can be. So yeah, we'll see. They're getting plenty of action in Europe is the way to spin that, I think. They're maximizing European football this season,
Indeed,
That's what they're
indeed.
doing. So we have just time then to dip into the ECL, which only has a few bit of interest in us. Namely, West Ham are actually doing as best they can in their group. They've won both games. The Silkeborg game was a bit more interesting than they expected, but their game against Bucharest was fairly routine. But in regard to Shamrock Rovers, so obviously having a large team in Europe is a novelty at best sometimes. So their first game I watched, which is against Your Gardens, it was fine. They probably should have won it, but then Your Gardens will probably say they should have won it too. Both teams had perfect chances to win, and neither of them took it. And then they got tonked 3-0 by Ghent. I'm not too worried about the result against Ghent because they are the best team in the group, let's be fair, by a country mile. And realistically, I think we were lucky to get away with a 3-0 win, really. Because the defending was particularly bad on two of the goals. And I think really we didn't have much of a sniff in the first half. The second half we got better because we brought on a lot of our attacking players. Bradley tends to go very defensive starting off and tries to kind of basically set camp in his own half and absorb a little bit of pressure, and then gets a bit more adventurous as the game goes on. We'll probably want to be more attacking because there is a chance of us actually getting out of this group, I think, particularly with your Gardens beating Molde. Molde 0-0 against Ghent in the first game, then they got beaten by your Gardens 3-2, so they can be got at. So I think we should try and at least put a punch on them. But again, every point, every win is massive, massive money for this club, and really, that's kind of what the objective here is to maximize this chance in Europe. And if they can get a win against one of these teams, then happy fucking days.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if they will, because I think the home tie against your Gardens is probably the best chance. But if Molde are struggling, then that's also equally a good chance as well. So we'll have to see. I think the jury's out on Rovers here. I think they need to just be a bit braver in Europe because they've been very defensive and trying to hit people on the back on the break, and their counter attack is just not quick enough for that. So I think we need to show a bit of style, is what I would say, because there are players in the team that can do that. The likes of Jack Byrne and Graham Burke and them. We could just unleash them on the teams and see what happens. No harm in trying at least. And yeah, that's my review of the Irish in Europe. Thank you very much for watching, I guess. Bit of a damp script to end this European review on. Can we laugh at Juventus again?
They are garbage.
Juventus are garbage. There you go. Have that comment section.